PB pitch early in the game. Take a look here as Cliff gets hit right on the point of the elbow. Says he's been hitting the triceps before, been hitting the forearm before, been hit close to that area, and then he aggravates it trying to make a play in the field. Watch the right elbow. Oh, that hurts. He was in pain last night after the game. Not in the lineup tonight. He's got some swelling issues, as he told our Matt Loughlin.
All I can say is I've never been hit right there. I've never been hit on the elbow. I've always been hit on the tricep and the side because I always turn. But that ball chased me and I couldn't get my arm away from it. So, you know, it's the first time for everything, and hopefully, like I said, I'll just come back quicker. I'm just feeling a lot better today. I was a little worried last night. I had a little tingling sensation in my fingers. Couldn't feel my fingers. And I was like, you know, that's not a good sign. Doctor's a little worried about it because it's the ulnar nerve. You know, I know it's going to be sore, but you know, it's if I can do it, I'm gonna go out there.
And yes, tools of the trade provided by Rawlings in Louisville, two of the legendary names of equipment in Major League Baseball. Mike Cameron was losing his Louisville slugger last night, hitting his 27th home run of the year. That is a single-season record for a Mets center fielder, breaking the record set by Tommy Agee back in 1969. Brian McRae had 21 in 1998, but Mike Cameron miles away from the ordinary with that 27 home runs. Career high for Mike Cameron. Mike Cameron experiencing career highs while a season of adjustment is underway here with the New York Mets and the National League in New York.
It's been definitely a different transition than I've experienced before, but you know, I've been able to weather the storm. I've been able to keep my, you know, my integrity and my patience level to a point where I didn't break, you know, because it was tough. I mean, not only was I having a tough time baseball-wise, it was tough emotionally for me because of the things I was going through, being in a new environment. And, you know, but all those things are minute because, you know, at the end of the day, baseball is going to only be a part of, you know, what's going to happen. So I just try to, you know, keep my focus on. I think I tried to prove and do too much for people out of my control, and instead of doing what I'm capable of doing. And, you know, I always want to say this too is, you know, I was brought here to be a part of the New York Mets team to help them get back on track. I'm not supposed to be the savior, but I'm supposed to be a part of helping this team put some collective pieces together to go out and have a consistent winner every night. And I think I got caught up in I'm supposed to be the savior here, and a lot of other things went on with that too. But I'm very proud of the point I'm at right now, man. I just, you know, I want to continue to improve and get myself, possibly get my average up. I got 22 more hits to get 1,000. So I'm going to be I got a couple of milestones I can look forward to be able to accomplish this season, which has been a very, how should I say this, different type of year for me. I've had some good things happen to me, and I've had some bad things happen to me. And it seems like the good things are now starting to overshadow the things that happened to me early in the season.
Guys talk. The Major League Baseball pipeline is a pretty good one. My point is, you knew it would be an adjustment coming here. What was different about it? You can hear about it, then you experience it. What's the difference?
The experience. The experience itself. Just going through things on a personal level that you can only experience if you play here, baseball here.
Like, what would be an example?
I felt just a tremendous amount of pressure because, you know, I didn't want people to feel bad about the player that they have. You know, people in New York have a great deal of pride in the teams they have, and they only want the teams to be successful. It just so happened that they've been stuck behind a gun here for so long, and they want to win. And I understand. I totally understand that because that's all I ever been a part of. And it's definitely disappointing, man, when you don't do the things you're capable of doing on the field in order to help. You know, I've heard a lot of talk saying that, you know, if I would have hit better in May and, you know, first part of June, we would probably be, you know, in the pennant race or whatever. But every year somebody's going to scuffle. And it just so happened that Piazza, Cliff Floyd, and, you know, the other guys that was, you know, Spencer when he was here, they were to pick up the part. And now I'm feeling better. I get the opportunity to possibly do my part and carry the team. You know, I mean, I'm just doing what I'm capable of doing, and pretty much that's it.
The skyline of the greatest city in the world. It's also home to the New York Mets. That's who's at Shea Stadium tonight to tangle with the San Diego Padres right here on MSG. Kris Benson for New York. Former Yankee David Wells gets the ball for San Diego as the fans start to file into Shea Stadium for the second game of this 4-game set, hoping that they can cheer Kris Benson and company on to a victory here tonight on MSG. And welcome back to Shea Stadium, everyone, as we get ready for the second game of this 4-game series. New York Mets trying to bounce back from a tough loss last night with Aaron Heilman making the start. Heilman has since been sent down to the minor leagues. More on tonight's game, though. Let's go upstairs to the guys who call it. Let's go upstairs and take a look and a listen to Matt Loughlin and Fran Healy.
All right, Bill, the Mets try to end a 2-game losing streak tonight. They have to feel more confident in the guy they'll send to the hill this evening. Kris Benson will make his 5th start in the Mets uniform, Fran.
Yeah, Matty, in his last outing in Denver, Colorado, Kris Benson had it going. He was throwing a ball in a low 90s, mixing up that breaking ball with his fastball and changing speeds, and he was pretty much in the strike zone. So tonight he has his work cut out for him as he takes on the red-hot San Diego Padres, especially the middle of the Padre lineup. So Kris Benson needs his good stuff tonight when he takes on the Pods.
The numbers brought to you by Dreyfus. Benson goes for his 3rd win with the Mets and looks to go 2 games above 500 overall. Well, you talked about the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for San Diego, the damage they can do, the damage they did do last night. They accounted for 6 runs batted in. They scored 6 runs. They were pretty much all for San Diego.
They really were. They were tough last night, especially the middle of the Padre lineup. And you got Mark Loretta slapping the ball around, 2nd in the National League in hitting, and Brian Giles can hammer the baseball. How about Phil Nevin last night? He had 5 RBIs, so you got to shut those 3 guys down to be successful tonight against the San Diego Padres.
So that's the challenge for Kris Benson. Their numbers pretty impressive in the series opening win last night. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mets and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mets. Tonight's game is available in SAP. Veteran broadcasters Juan Alicea and Billy Barra bring you the play-by-play and analysis as Kris Benson gets set to go to work here in Flushing. And here's the lineup that he will face. Mark Loretta nearing a .400 average on the road. 32 hits this month. He's 2nd in the National League in average, 1st in hits overall. And then he starts the big guns. Brian Giles, Phil Nevin, Brian Klesko, Sean Burrows, Khalil Green, Ramon Hernandez, and David Wells to follow.
So Kris Benson on the mound. Those are his recall numbers for the season. Combined Pittsburgh and Mets outings. You see the 10-9 record. 100 strikeouts this year and 157 in the 3rd innings for Kris Benson. And the Mets were in pursuit of Kris Benson. They finally got him, and he picked up a win the other day in Denver. Pitched a beautiful ball game against the Cardinals this year, but was not involved in the decision. But let's take a look at his defense in the field. Phillips, Keppinger, Delgado, and Wright left to right in the infield. Then Williams, Cameron, and Hidalgo. Left field, center field, and right field in the outfield. And you got Wilson behind the plate. So Jason Phillips has first started first since July 30th. So Jason Phillips got a couple of blows in San Francisco the other day, made him feel pretty good as far as swinging that bat goes.
Beautiful night here at Shea Stadium. Great night for baseball. One note we will make here, Khalil Green is not in the starting lineup. Richard Hidalgo will get to go at shortstop. A late change for the Padres. Khalil Green missed yesterday's game, an excused absence to deal with some personal issues back in California. Flew in today, and they felt he got here a little late. Long trip. Give him another day off and plug Aurelia in at shortstop.
Plus, Richard really, I think, Matty, he's from New York. He's had some solid years with the Giants, and a lot of times, you know, you get a little more keyed up in front of family and friends. So Richard really is playing shortstop tonight, but Freddie Guzman's ready to go.
Guzman with a pair of stolen bases last night. As a 6-game hitting streak. The Mets playing in at the corners, expecting a bunt, which they get, but it goes foul.
Yeah, he's the type of hitter you almost want to bring your middle infielders halfway, because if he puts it on the ground past the pitcher, he's going to beat it out. I mean, routine ground balls, and you're getting him at first base by half a step. He can really fly.
Terrific speed, not much pop at all. Gerald Williams playing very shallow in left field. Benson delivering 0-1 here. And the grounder to short, handled by Delgado. And there's one down.
That's what you want him to do. You want him to hit the ball right to the infielder with a little velocity on it, so they can get him at first base. You don't want him setting the table.
So with one down, Mark Loretta will step to the plate, having a career year for the Pods. 344 average, second to Barry Bonds in the National League. Also 15 homers, 66 runs batted in, 40 doubles, and his name is liberally sprinkled throughout the offensive categories in the National League, virtually every offensive category.
You know, we talked about surprise teams last night. Now, Mark Loretta's been a solid major league player, but his numbers this year has to be a pleasant surprise for the San Diego Padres. 344 average, 66 RBIs, 15 home runs.
Pops this one up. Who will take it? Jason Phillips on the mound. Puts it away. Here's the summer team takeoff, brought to you by AmeriSuites and Wellesley Inns and Suites. The Pods on the road, a much better team than at home, batting .289 away from San Diego. That's tops in the NL. Second in the league in runs per game scored on the road.
And that guy right there has been doing a good job as manager of the San Diego Padres.
Bruce Bochy, longtime member of the Padres organization, 22 years, a player, coach, manager.
Gives a lot of credit to Jack McKeon, helping him get the job.
1995 was Bochy's first year at the helm as Brian Giles faces the 1-0 pitch. A pair of Pirates, former Pirates, squaring off against each other.
Brian Giles originally signed with the Indians from Cleveland, as you look at Phil Nevin on deck. And Giles, a real good major league hitter. Great stroke, very compact. How close those hands are. And he's strong. He's got a short stroke, but you can see the power when he rips through the hitting zone. Watch this. He just hits on top of that ball.
Giles now 33 years of age. Looks like he's about 27.
Yeah, he does.
He might argue for 24.
Players today take much better care of themselves than they did years ago. We were talking about, we saw a picture of Honus Wagner prior to the game as you see Giles swing through that pitch. And Honus Wagner is a guy who didn't age well. If that's his picture when he played, believe me. Woo.
Here's the 2-2 outside for a ball. It's 3-2. Giles, just about a year ago now, was acquired by San Diego from Pittsburgh. Phil Nevin on deck, had a big night last night, hoping for a shot here in the first. Mets gave up 2 runs in the top of the first last night, never were able to recover. Back up the middle and into center field. So a 2-out base hit for Giles.
You know, Matty, occasionally when you see the catcher give a sign and move back just a step or half a step, that means it's going to be a fastball. It's a habit a lot of catchers get into. Right here, you're going to see that fastball moving away, and Giles going right back up the middle, picking up a base hit.
Can you sense that as a hitter? Or might you get that from the bench?
Yeah, you would get that from the coaching staff. Now, some guys fall into the habit of doing it consistently, and when that happens, you're tipping every pitch. Occasionally, although you're not doing it in a consistent fashion, you do it. You're not thinking, you give the sign fastball, you know you get some room, and you move back a step. It's when you give the breaking ball, then you move up a step. And all catchers have to remind themselves not to do it. Although I'll tell you, it's got to be more difficult today than when I played, because a lot of these kids have backswings. And if you can figure out how to get away from the backswing, you're going to do it. And that's when you would give that fastball, move back.
1-0 the count to Phil Nevin. Fouls it out of play to the right side. Nevin, 5 runs batted in last night, had a double in the first to get the Pods going, and hit a 3-run homer that broke it open.
Yeah, that was almost like a punch to the midsection when he hit that 3-run home run off the Dodge sign out there in left field.
And off the guy we just saw, Bartolome Fortunato. Ryan Klesko on deck, 2 out here, top half of the first inning. Giles not much of a threat to go, has 7 stolen bases. That leads the Padres.
Speaking of leads, Matty, the lead he has, I'd be amazed. It would have to be a sneak attack. Now look at, you see Phil Nevin, as a catcher, you want to keep him on that line there, because if he's out, and hitters like to get as far away from the pitcher as they can get. As long as your foot's touching the line, or where the line was supposed to be, you're in the batter's box. I remember in Kansas City when I played there, Hal McRae, he would stand a foot outside the batter's box. So what you would do is you would go up before the game, you would knock out the batter's box, you would erase this. So now the umpire's not real sure, and then they would put the hole back there. Now see, he's right on the line. All you have to do is have your foot on the line, you're in the batter's box.
2 balls, 2 strikes now to Nevin.
You know, it's funny, as a catcher, I mean, it can be disconcerting to a hitter. If you can tell the umpire, you know, somebody's out of the box, you say, hey, look at his foot. Now he's standing in the batter's box attempting to hit a baseball at 95 miles an hour, and he's got a catcher driving him crazy by telling the umpire, make him get in the batter's box. And, you know, later on in the ball game, when those lines are completely erased, hitters can take liberties. So that's why the catcher really has to be aware of it.
Benson checks Giles at first. I mean, you talked about the backswing, and we've seen more and more catchers getting hit. Vance Wilson earlier this year got hit on a follow-through.
And you know, you have to blame or give credit to the late Charlie Lau, because, you know, he talked about hitting that ball and then releasing the bat with one hand, and on the follow-through,
Nevin strikes out, and Benson with a strong first inning gives up the 2-out base hit to Giles, but gets Nevin to end the inning as the Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first. Back at Shea Stadium, where 41-year-old David Wells gets set to go to work against this starting 9. Jeff Keppinger will lead things off, followed by Vance Wilson. Mike Cameron with his 27 home runs in the 5 spot. Then comes David Wright, Jason Phillips, Wilson Delgado, and Benson.
and the Boomer's on the mound tonight.
The big guy.
Yeah, David Wells. He is a big fella. He's got a rubber arm, and those are his Rico numbers. He likes to eat late at night or early in the morning at his favorite diner here in New York. And at times, I guess it's not a good time to go out at 4 in the morning. Although you've been there, Matty.
I have, and you know, I stay incident-free. Jeff Keppinger, the leadoff hitter for the Mets, followed by Vance Wilson and Gerald Williams. And it turned out that the incident you're referring to, Boomer Wells, was exonerated.
Yeah, it was an ugly incident.
Vance Wilson on deck. Keppinger in his 5th game with the New York Mets.
And defensively behind David Wells, you see Nevin, Loretta, Aurelio, and Burrows in the infield. Klesko, Guzman, and Giles left to right in the outfield. Hernandez behind the plate. Brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. And Giles, a good, solid right fielder. Watched him earlier today. He was the first one on the field. When the Mets left the field after batting practice, he was the first one on the field, and he went out to right field. And he had a coach hit him ground balls and fly balls. As you look at Brian Giles, started 121 games out there, but he was out there taking balls off the bat of the coach, and he did it for about 10 minutes. The only outfielder I saw today do it.
Foul down the first base side.
For the Padres.
Yeah, well, I mean, you want to be prepared. I don't care how long you've played, how well you've played. Proper preparation.
Oh, without a doubt. Keppinger a little bit behind on that pitch. Hit the ball right down the first baseline. Chuck Merriweather's happy to get out of the way of it.
1-2 to Keppinger. Breaking ball just misses. Eric Cooper, the home plate umpire. Merriweather down at first. Mike Riley, the crew chief, is at second, and C.B. Buckner down at third. Another off-speed pitch, grounded up the middle for a base hit.
So Keppinger going back up the middle, straight back, the kick to the leg, hits the ball right back up the middle and right on into center field. So Keppinger leading off with a base hit.
Fourth hit for Keppinger since joining the Mets, and here's Vance Wilson.
You know, talking about David Wells and that rubber arm, an arm, he reminds me a lot, not in build, but the strength of his arm and longevity he's been able to generate because of that arm without Leiter. And Leiter has the same type of arm.
Just take the ball every
time out, take
fifth
it,
day and go.
Yeah, and they can throw a lot of pitches, and they seem to have an extremely young arm. But again, I say not in build. I don't want Al taking the elevator up here.
0-1 to Wilson as Keppinger measures his lead. Swung on and missed at the off-speed pitch. Vance now batting .300. On the 18th of this month, the 18th, excuse me, of July, the average was .231.
Well, one of the good things about not getting a whole lot of ABs is when you do get the hit, you go 4 for 4, another 2 for 4, or 1 for 4, your average is up. On the reverse side of that coin, you don't have too many ABs. You go 0 for 4, it goes way down.
Little flare to left. Moving in is Klesko. He'll be able to put it away. And so there's one down.
Take a look at our keys to the game. They're brought to you by Hyundai. So David Wells on the mound for the Padres. The Mets will be forced to be aggressive because he's in the strike zone consistently. Make the Padres swing the bat. That's up to Kris Benson. And David Wright, Mike Cameron need to stay hot. Those are our Hyundai keys to the game, and I'm sure that Art Howe is aware of every key to the game. Tony Muser moving the infielders around. Tony was an outstanding defensive first baseman.
Bench coach now here in San Diego as Gerald Williams steps in, starting tonight in place of Cliff Floyd. Williams trying to draw the infield in, takes the first pitch for a strike and disagrees with the call from Eric Cooper. Floyd last night got hit on the right elbow, stayed in the game for a while, re-injured it, bracing himself against the wall in left field, finally taken out. X-rays were negative. And feeling a little better today. He said he's been hit before in the tricep, the forearm, never right off the bone. He said it hurt. Available for pinch hitting duty if needed tonight. So Williams, who replaced Floyd, starts tonight. This time he lays off it again, and it's 1-1.
Check with Merriweather down there at first base. He said no swing. Take a look at it again as Gerald Williams, did he go after it? No, he brought that bat back.
Williams had a pair of doubles last night as Richard Hidalgo awaits his turn on deck. No score. We're early, bottom half of the first inning. Keppinger is picked off. And the throw down to second with the tag applied by the shortstop Aurelia, and Keppinger is erased.
Boy, Phil Nevin made that look easy. He came toward the ball to get a good angle to throw to second base. And when he threw it in the most relaxed fashion. Watch this. The leg kick, they go to first. Keppinger's on his way. Look at Nevin come off. Perfect angle, perfect throw. You know, I knew guys that played first base that couldn't make that throw.
Williams swings through the off-speed pitch, and it's 1-2.
There were some guys who had lost their confidence in throwing the ball, like a guy like Steve Garvey, who was an outstanding first baseman as far as fielding average was concerned, but didn't like throwing the ball to second base. I played with a guy who was a real good first baseman, John Mayberry, same thing.
Williams reaches out, punches it foul.
And if you know you're the defense. You know your first baseman doesn't like to throw. When that left-hander kicks that leg up, take off, make the first baseman throw you out at second base. Then you run right towards the shortstop. Don't give him a good angle.
Last night, Nevin had 2 errors, 1 on a throw, as Williams grounds a base hit into left. And I wonder if there'll be any discussions tonight between Nevin and Chuck Merriweather. Remember the comments that Nevin made to Bill Daughtry on the post-game show?
He said he got in his way. He couldn't see around him when he threw the ball to second base yesterday.
I think he called him big old Chuck Merriweather. Got in the way.
You know what that means? That's euphemism.
Chuck says he's not that old. So the cleanup hitter steps in. Richard Hidalgo. 2-out base runner in Williams. Hidalgo with 21 home runs. And the breaking ball is in for a call strike.
Well, we talked last week about one of the signs of left-hander is going to throw at first base. You watch that left shoulder when he turns. It's a pretty big movement when he's going to go to first. When he's going home, very little movement. His left shoulder.
Grounded to third. Easy play for Burrows across the diamond, and that'll do it for the Mets here in the first. They had 2 base hits, but one was erased on a court stealing, so we're scoreless after 1. Top half of the second inning here at Shea Stadium on a gorgeous night. We have had some spectacular weather the last couple of days here in New York. It'll be Ryan Klesko to lead things off against Kris Benson. He'll be followed by Sean Burrows and Rich Aurilia. Klesko batting .269. Grounds it to short. Delgado. And there's one down. Hey, Cablevision subscribers, see the Mets in stunning high def on MSG and FSN New York for no additional charge. Go to www.io.tv/MetsHD now to sign up for the best in high def programming and enter the IO Clear Winner Sweepstakes to win a Mets road trip and an HD Plasma TV. One down for Sean Burrows, who has a 5-game hitting streak. Burrows with 1 hit last night in the Padres onslaught. Batting .296 now. He's 23 years old. Had a 16-game hitting streak earlier in the year. And he grounds this one to short. Delgado has time as Burrows doesn't run very well, and there's 2 down. 3rd ground ball hit this evening to Delgado. So Benson's been keeping the ball down and keeping the Padres off the base paths.
21, Rich Aurilia.
So quickly 2 down. And here's Rich Aurilia, a late addition to the starting lineup. We mentioned Khalil Green arriving late today. Flew in after being given yesterday off to attend to some personal issues. And then arrived a little late as he got to the ballpark. They decided let the youngster rest a little bit more. As you mentioned, you got the local kid in Aurilia with a chance to step in and play a 2nd straight game at shortstop. Aurilia was acquired from Seattle on the 19th of July. Signed with Seattle in the off-season, and it just wasn't a good fit. And I'm often amazed at why that happens sometimes, Fran. I mean, it's not like Aurilia was a young kid. He's a veteran, was moving to the American League, but still, sometimes it just doesn't work out. The karma's not there.
Just didn't produce in Seattle.
Maybe it wasn't the karma, it was the production.
That's right.
2-1 the count to Aurilia with Ramon Hernandez on deck. Benson making his 5th start for the New York Mets, looking for his 3rd win in a Mets uniform as Aurilia goes opposite field. Long run for Hidalgo. Does he have room? Yes. But the ball falls foul as Hidalgo runs into the wall and he's holding his left knee. He had some room, but it quickly ran out as the wall moves out in that portion of right field. And let's see what happens. banged into the wall sideways. It wasn't a knee to the wall collision, but awkwardly he hits the wall. Looked like maybe his foot got caught a little bit in that last step and maybe a little twisted the knee. Mike Herbst, the Mets assistant trainer, out to attend to Hidalgo, and this is the last thing the Mets need. I mean, it has been one injury after another for New York. And here, a look at it once again, and right there, it looks like his foot just caught a little bit, his left foot. And you saw his ankle roll a little bit, and Hidalgo's being looked at. The Mets with some concern looking on from the bench. You saw one guy who suffered one of those freak injuries, Tommy Glavine, looking on. Glavine involved in an automobile accident, riding in a cab here to Shea Stadium. This doesn't look good, though. Not good at all. So Mike Cameron, Gerald Williams, Art Howe, Jason Phillips out looking at Hidalgo. You know, we mentioned the amount of Met injuries, particularly as of late. How about the latest one, Fran? Mike Dijon is in the bullpen last night getting ready to loosen up. So he's doing some stretching exercises. Remember, he got hit in Colorado last week? It was bothering him a little bit, but x-rays and MRIs were negative. All of a sudden, he just felt something in that lower right leg, and he was in a walking cast today. He pitched over the weekend in San Francisco, but it was just a sudden kind of pop that he felt. Hidalgo very gingerly walking toward right field. Scott Lawrenson, the head trainer, has also come out now. That's Scotty on the left. Take a look at it in normal speed and get an idea of what happened to Hidalgo. He did hit that wall hard, but again, I think just that twisted the ankle and the knee locked up a little bit. He's walking it off, though. But it's something that bears watching as the night goes on, clearly. See if it tightens up at all. So you've got Kaz Matsui on the disabled list, Jose Reyes on the disabled list. You've got Mike Piazza on the disabled list. Cliff Floyd gets hit by a pitch last night, not available tonight, although as a pinch hitter, perhaps. Hidalgo gets shaken up here. Victor Zambrano is on the disabled list. I mean, it's just been one after another, and it goes back to the early part of the season. Cliff Floyd missed about 5 weeks from the first week of the season on. And when you think about it, the fact that the Mets are just 5 games below 500, when you consider all the injuries that they have suffered, is a bit of a testament to their resiliency and the opportunities that others have taken advantage of. At any rate, Hidalgo will stay in the ball game. The count is 2 balls and 2 strikes to Aurelia. Aurelia's transition back to the National League has gone well. He's batting .321 for the Pods, but .255 overall. Breaking ball, fly to right. Well, Hidalgo will gingerly gallop toward the line and put it away. So 3 up and 3 down. Benson's now retired 4 straight. Hidalgo shaken up but stays in the game. Yeah, shaken, not stirred. Back at Shea, Mets come to the plate, bottom half of the second inning. Mike Cameron will lead things off against David Wells. And the first pitch is popped up right side. Mark Loretta. And there's one down. Well, Richard Hidalgo stayed in the game, but went down the steps and headed toward the clubhouse, gingerly making his way, grimace on his face. We'll have to see if he comes back out. Mike Herbst giving him a pat on the back. I mean, it could be just something he wants to have it checked out quickly, iced up, maybe a bandage on it. Art Howe has to wonder, when will it end? So here's David Wright, homered last night, his 6th of the season. Wright extending his hitting streak to 7 games, batting .300 with 16 runs batted in. Batting .337 in the month of August with 28 hits, 5 home runs, 14 runs batted in.
David Wright last night hit this ball a long way. His last at bat hit the ball over that center field wall. So David Wright continues to hammer the baseball.
Count now 2-1 to Wright. The 21-year-old has quickly gotten comfortable at the major league level. Fouls this one off. Here we're talking with some of the, oh, there's a good sign. Hidalgo back and limbering up. Scott Lawrenson talking with the Mets right fielder. We were talking with some of the Padre broadcasters yesterday, and they were asking about Wright. He is the subject of discussion when visiting media or when the Mets travel to another town. What's this kid like? Is he the real deal? Is he grounds the one hopper to second? Loretta with the throw, and there's 2 down. And so far, he's been the real deal. And so far, this game has been a sharp contrast to last night. A little over 3.5 hours, lots of walks, lots of hits. The Mets lost 9-4. This one's got a better pace already, Fran.
Yeah, over 300 pitches, I believe, in last night's ball game.
And in case you're just joining us, Aaron Heilman has been sent back to AAA Norfolk. Went 3 2/3 innings last night. And you do have to wonder whether or not he'll be back. It's unfortunate, young man, but he may have left the Mets clubhouse for the last time. Jason Phillips pops it up. Ramon Hernandez with the mask off puts it away in a 1-2-3 inning for David Wells. And he has retired 4 straight. We're scoreless going to the top of the 3rd. David Wright looking for a little pop tonight. We go to the top half of the 3rd inning. Good pitchers matchup tonight. Kris Benson and David Wells. Padres with 1 hit. The Mets with 2. Neither team has scored a run. Ramon Hernandez, the number 8 hitter in the lineup, will be followed by David Wells. And the top of the order in Freddie Guzman. Mentioned that Aaron Heilman was sent back to AAA Norfolk. The Mets also today purchasing the contract of Heath Bell, a right-handed pitcher from Norfolk. So Bell up with the Mets. Bell went 3-1, had 16 saves in 44 games for Norfolk, as Boomer Wells looks on. Two-0 pitch to Hernandez in there for a call strike. It's 2-1. We talked about it last night, Fran, and Ramon Hernandez has come to San Diego and has helped shore up that catcher's position for the Padres.
Ramon Hernandez was given a lot of credit for the success of the Oakland A pitching staff. I guess not enough. He's now in San Diego. Most important thing for a catcher, he's got to deliver offensively, and if you can mix in calling a good game and catching and throwing the ball, that's important, but it's going to be tough to catch every day in the big leagues unless you deliver offensively.
Grounds the 3-1 offering. Backhand stop by Wright. The long throw pulls Phillips off, but he applies the tag. And there's 1 down.
Well, David Wright quick enough to regroup here. He knocks the ball down. It's our Panasonic digital replay. See, the ball hit off the heel of the glove. The hardest part of the glove is the heel of the glove. And he comes up and flips it across the infield. Jason Phillips coming off that base and making the tag. Nice play by Jason Phillips.
So David Wells will step in. Not much of a hitter. Fans here in New York certainly remember him and what he did with the Yankees. 2 tours of duty with the Yanks. Last year was 15-7 with the Yankees. Signed a contract during the offseason with San Diego. Signed it on New Year's Eve, as a matter of fact. 1-1 to the left-handed hitter. And this will be an easy play. Keppinger with plenty of time, and there's 2 down. David Wells is not going to beat out a lot of infield hits. Very few pitchers will. Wells will head back to the bench, and Freddie Guzman will take a little extra time and give Wells a chance to relax a little bit. Now that's one of those chapters in the book of baseball that you take exception with so often. Is that a good idea?
Well, it's a good idea to have somebody like David Wells go back and take a moment. I think if a pitcher's in good shape, he makes an out. The first pitch you get, if you're the leadoff hitter, you can swing the bat. Unfortunately, it's against what has been written in the book, but you get a pitch to hit the ball, and it's not that difficult for a pitcher to go out there and throw with very little rest. I mean, it's the third inning.
So that's kind of a tepid endorsement.
Yeah, I know that they say, well, how about that 3-pitch inning? Can you believe that? You get a pitch a hit, swing it. If you feel you can get a base hit, take a rip at it, the pitcher can go back on that. When we talked about David Wells' arm, he has that rubber arm. Whether it's the 3rd inning or the 7th inning, he can still throw.
Guzman to left field. Gerald Williams perfectly placed in shallow left field. And Kris Benson continues his strong start. David Wright stayed with it. And the Mets. Nothing like some cotton candy at the ball game. Hey, the Sports Authority is giving one lucky young Mets fan the opportunity to be the coolest kid in school. Just stop by any New York area Sports Authority and register to win the chance to have Cliff Floyd make a special appearance in your classroom this fall. You must be between the ages of 8 and 15 to enter. No purchase is necessary. The contest ends September 7th, 2004. See stores for official rules and regulations. Well, that'd be cool, huh? You come to it's the start of school. Maybe you're a month in, and you say, hey, look who's coming to school with me, Cliff Floyd. Oh, boy, they're digging in. You know what? The kids start it, and the moms and dads always manage to pull a little off, right? I don't think an adult can eat a full load of cotton candy, but can certainly grab a couple of chunks off. Wilson Delgado to lead things off here in our scoreless ball game. Bottom half of the 3rd inning. Matt Loughlin, Fran Healy, Bill Daughtry. Thanks for joining us here on the MSG Network as the Mets try to end a 2-game losing streak tonight. Delgado reaches out, punches down the right field line, and it is a foul ball. Long run for Giles, and the ball just drops foul.
Giles chasing that ball into foul territory, and the ball tailing away from number 24, and so a break for the Padres. It had double written all over it if the ball drops in fair territory. Giles now moving more toward the right field foul line.
Delgado making his 6th consecutive start at shortstop. And it's his longest streak since he began his major league career by starting the first 6 games at short for the Giants back in '96. Couple of hops to shortstop. Richard Hidalgo makes the throw, and there's one down. Tonight's contestant in the Amtrak Acela home run inning is Mike DeTore from Lyndhurst, New Jersey. The Met homers in this inning. Mike wins tickets to an upcoming Mets game or a trip for 2 with Acela anywhere on the East Coast. Amtrak. Your trip starts here. So good luck, Mike, as Kris Benson steps in. The Acela, great way to take a trip. Done it to Philly, Boston, Washington, D.C. Benson breaks his bat, grounds it to Loretta, has trouble with it, and Benson will be on.
So that'll go E5, an error on Burrows, the 3rd baseman, as he cut in front of the shortstop, Richard Hidalgo. Boy, that's a sawed-off bat right there. Watch Jeff Burrows go over it. He's unable to come up with the ball. Pretty much an easy play for Burrows.
I think I said Loretta, but yeah, it was breaks his bat, grounds it to Loretta, has trouble with it, and Benson will be on.
Glove, and Sean Burrows will tell you, give me an error. He tried to cut in front of Richard Hidalgo. It was Sean Burrows' ball. How about that? There's another jam shot off the bat of Jeff Keppinger.
And there's 2 down as Aurelia puts it away. So an error has been given to Burrows on the play.
No, that's not a jam shot. It didn't look like it got in on his hands at all, but ball wasn't hit real hard to Richard Hidalgo at shortstop.
So 2 down for Vance Wilson, who flew out to left in his first at bat. Ooh, flies one to left, but get out in front of it, and it'll sail foul. Long strike for Wilson. We talked about Wilson raising his average to 300, and he certainly does like the work that he's done with Don Baylor, and he's getting a chance to play more often, and those two things have helped. He also gives a lot of credit to the work he did in the spring with Denny Walling, who was let go earlier this year as the Mets hitting instructor.
Basically, I mean, the hitting instructors, coaches are important to a certain degree. And then it's the player. It's what's inside the player. It's his talent. And it's tough to make a hitter who hits 250 become a 300 hitter. In fact, it's nearly impossible. So it's up to the individual himself and the work he puts in. And obviously, you have to rely on guys that know about hitting to a certain degree, like a Don Baylor, Denny Walling. You know, Mike Cameron gave a lot of credit to a conversation he had with Mike Piazza. Mike, a student of the game also. So you can refer to players as well as coaches, and coaches would encourage that. I'm sure Don Baylor picked up some positive habits when he was in the Oriole organization from veteran players.
Benson on first, having reached on the error by Burrows. Pitch outside to Wilson. It's 2-2 with 2 down here in the third. Fran, you mentioned it earlier. Wells always around the plate, has walked just 17 batters in 136 plus innings of work.
That's why you really, I mean, if he throws a pitcher's pitch, you want to give him that strike, but you got to be ready to swing because he's throwing the ball over the plate.
Line foul into the stands.
I admire a guy like this who says, you know what, here it is, hit it. You're going to get my best stuff, and if you hit it, I'll tip my cap. Look at that, walks per 9 innings.
In his
fourth lowest among active pitchers.
And that's one of the reasons why he brings a 207, 135 lifetime record into tonight's game. Vance pops it up. Hernandez has a play and makes the catch. Ramon Hernandez looked for the railing in front of the Mets dugout, and then had to backpedal a little bit, reached out and pulled it in. Some broken bats, but no runs. Pods and Mets are scoreless after 3. Oh, it's that time. Yes, it is. Our Aflac Trivia Quiz, which 2 players share the Mets single season record for home runs by a shortstop. So the thinking cap has been applied. We'll throw a couple of guesses out. I'm sure as the inning moves on, we'll have the answer a little later on as we move to the 4th inning. Here's Fran Healy.
All right, Matty, look at those numbers from Mark Loretta. Very impressive as he's having an outstanding season, and he's playing second base for these Padres. Loretta in 2003 established a franchise hit record with 186 for the Padres, and he takes a ball from Kris Benson. Benson will take on Loretta, Giles, and then Nevin here in the top of the 4th inning. Outside. Another beautiful night here in New York. At 25,000 on hand for the first game of this 4-game series. About the same tonight. And a 2-0 pitch, and Loretta takes a strike. So 2 balls and 1 strike. International Week continues here at Shea Stadium. Black History Night. Between innings, they had some great video of some of the great Black Americans over the years. In fact, they featured last half inning Arthur Ashe. Terrible tragedy that happened to Arthur Ashe. And the tennis stadium at the U.S. Open is named after that great tennis player.
Yeah, it left us far too early.
Outside ball 4. So Loretta walks. Padres have a base runner with nobody out here in the top of the 4th inning.
Right fielder, number 24, Brian Giles.
Padres are in the hunt in the Western Division of the National League. They are 6 games back of the Dodgers.
And just 2 out of the wild card spot.
It's funny, I guess you keep your eye on a wild card, but until you're really desperate, I think you feel that you have a shot. And you want the division title more so until you can't have it. Then you want the wild card.
Yeah, why settle for second best?
Absolutely. The Dodgers leading the West. There's a fly ball center field. This is a can of corn out there for Mike Cameron. So 1 man down. San Francisco Giants 4 games behind the Dodgers. So it's time to take a look at those wild card standings. As you see, the Giants and the Cubbies are tied. I think it was a great, and in baseball, it was tough to say, okay, pull the trigger and put a wild card on the map. It was tough in baseball because tradition is a huge thing in baseball, but it's been great for the game of baseball.
Well, absolutely, and you know, it gives San Diego, for instance, some hope. 6 games out, they're close, but they're only 2 games out of a playoff spot. And I wonder how players look at it differently. I agree with you that they'll look for the division title first. Yeah, but if San Diego's saying, look, we're 6 games behind LA, it would be great to be the Western Division champs, but we're only 2 games out of a playoff spot, so let's not worry about 6.
It's still tough to digest when the wild card entrant wins the World Series. There's a fly ball, shallow right field. Keep in mind, Hidalgo hurt that leg. No signs of it, but the ball drops in. So the Padres now have runners on first and second as Richard Hidalgo ran a long way for that ball, and he ran rapidly.
Yeah, I mean, showing no ill effects of the sore knee. Keppinger wasn't that close. I thought maybe Jeff would be able to get out there a little bit. And there he is in your screen. I mean, the ball was moving toward the right field line. It would have been a heck of a play for the Mets second baseman. Hidalgo gave it his all, though.
That was our Panasonic digital replay. So Hidalgo set to go in right field. No negative effects, it seems, from Hidalgo running into that right field fence earlier in the ball game. No score. The Padres and the Mets were in the 4th inning. The batter now will be Ryan Klesko. Boy, Klesko in 2001 had 113 RBIs. Coming into tonight's action, Klesko with 48 RBIs. You think the Padres are saying if he could have had the season that he had a couple years ago, we might be in front by 6 games. But he could get hot. It's 1-0 on Klesko. Runners on first and second with 1 out. It's a drive to center field. Cameron moving back. He's got room. He makes a grab. Loretta tags and wisely moves to third base as Phil Nevin retreats to first. So 2 men are gone and runners on the corners for the Padres.
Thought this ball might have gone a little farther off the crack of the bat. Mike Cameron has terrific closing speed, and Loretta, realizing it was going to be caught, makes the heads-up play, and now he's 90 feet away.
So runners on the corners, and the batter now will be Sean Burroughs. We talked about Sean Burroughs, and in the news now is the Little League World Series, which is followed closely by youngsters throughout the country who play in the Little Leagues.
My 2 oldest boys were watching this morning and this afternoon.
2 schools of thought. A lot of people felt that there's a lot of pressure on kids playing, you know, under the scrutiny of television and a major audience. As Burroughs takes outside, the other school of thought is, you know what, you can't hide from it. And plus, it's big business. Little leagues throughout the world. As you look at the defense for Sean Burroughs, who was one, I guess, if there was one name that would stick out, I guess, in the Little Leagues, in the history of Little League Baseball, he'd be the guy. He'd be one of them. Here's the 1-0 pitch.
Well, 2 times his team won the Little League World Series.
And, of course,
with Gary Sheffield, had played on the Tampa team, that great run that Tampa had for a few years there.
And the manager of the Pirates.
Lloyd McClendon.
He played, I believe, if memory serves me correct, against Dwight Gooden in the Little Leagues. Fouled back, so it's 2-1 now on Sean Burroughs. So it's up to Burroughs with 2 men out. 2-1 count. Runners on the corners. Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. You're watching all the action on MSG Network. Kris Benson still trying to show the Mets that he can be a dominant major league pitcher. Injuries have stopped him from being dominant so far. There's a looping line drive in the left field. A run will score as Mark Loretta scores, and Sean Burroughs with 2 outs comes up with a big blow here in the 4th inning.
In the process, he gives San Diego the lead and extends his hitting streak to 6 games. Good piece of hitting here. Ball away a little bit, and he just goes with it. Softly hit to left field, but enough to do the damage, and then you go back to Loretta taking up on the fly ball to center field. Might have scored anyway. Probably would have been running. Obviously would have been running with 2 out. But nonetheless, made it a lot easier, made it a sure thing.
And Rich Aurelia now will be the batter with runners on 1st and 2nd and 2 outs. Attended St. John's University, and he takes outside. 1 ball and no strikes on Aurelia. Runners on 1st and 2nd. And the 1-0 pitch is, he was taken all the way. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Aurelia. The Rockies with a 4-1 lead over Atlanta in the 2nd inning at Turner Field. You know, we're talking about surprises last night, Matty. Surprise teams. You know what? The Atlanta Braves are a surprise.
Well, they are. There's no question about it. Very few people gave them any shot at getting to the postseason, and they're on their way to winning another division title.
It really is amazing. If they do it, it'll be 13 in a row.
How about this Padres team? 98 losses last year.
Yeah, we talked about that last night, how they, for a few years now, they were telling me in San Diego, we are programming to have a good team for our new ballpark. And they're doing it. Petco Field is their ballpark in San Diego. Here's a 1-hopper to 2nd. They'll go to 2nd base for the force. Scored 4-6, fielder's choice. Richard Hidalgo with the old college try. It's 1-0 Padres, and we'll be back.
And got an update on Mike DeJean. Matt talked about his injury earlier when he was working out in the bullpen. Well, he's got a sprain, a slight sprain, and a bruised right foot. He's walking around one of those walking casts, so no word on how soon he'll be back. He is listed as day-to-day, but Mike DeJean limping around a little bit right now for the New York Mets, Matty.
All right, Bill, thanks very much. And Fran, just another bad break injury-wise for New York.
Well, it certainly is. It's a 1-1 count on Gerald Williams as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and Williams takes a strike. We're talking about the International Week at Shea Stadium was Black History Night, and a number of the old Negro League players were here. As Gerald Williams takes down an inning, it's 2-2, and Bill Daughtry talked to some of the guys, and he asked about the best player in the history of the Negro Leagues, and they said by far Josh Gibson. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Got him. 1 down. So Gerald Williams goes down.
David Wells has it going. He's not overpowering. No longer
Richard Hidalgo.
get the fastball up, but it'll keep you off balance. And he has looked good tonight.
As we go back to our half-black trivia quiz, which 2 players share the Mets single-season record for home runs by a shortstop? Kevin Elster hit a bunch of them when he left. Well, he hit 10 when he was here.
There you go. And
didn't he hit about 25 or 30 when he was at the Texas Rangers? Richard Hidalgo is okay. He went down earlier, banged into the wall down the right field line. So it's 1-0 on Hidalgo, leading the majors with 12 assists entering tonight's game, and he led the National League last year in assists. It's funny, sometimes as you take a look at that last pitch, sometimes an outfielder will lead the league in assists because he can't throw. But Richard Hidalgo can throw. The reason they lead the league when they can't throw is they're always tested. Richard Hidalgo is trying to teach everybody a lesson. He's getting 12 this year. He takes inside, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike and a Met right fielder.
And obviously a lot of teams haven't learned the lesson.
Yeah.
Because that'll also happen. You'll see a guy with a lot of assists one year and it'll drop off because teams now start to respect the arm once they realize, hey, this kid's got something.
Well, it's 3-1 now on Hidalgo as David Wells falls behind, but keep in mind, he doesn't walk anybody. So let's see what happens here. No walks in tonight's ball game for the Boomer. No walk there as Hidalgo drives it. Guzman almost overran it. Ball died and he came back and made the grab.
Well, they wanted speed in center field. They got it at Guzman, and he showed a little extra speed. Oops, it's coming back, coming back. Oh, I better stop.
So 2 men are out. Nice play by Guzman. Great speed. And this guy, he has very good speed, Mike Cameron. So with 2 men out, Mike Cameron the batter. Mets trail by 1. He takes a strike. Once again, David Wells right in the strike zone. You know, you hear a lot of talk about working the count, working deep into the count. Why would you work deep into the count against a guy who throws all strikes?
Yeah.
He misses with the breaking ball there. 1-1. If they're going to give you a pitch to hit first pitch, why not wail at it? David Wright's been hammering the baseball lately. Mike Cameron pops it foul and out of play. So he's thrown 3 pitches, 2 of them in the strike zone. It's 1-2. He has yet to walk a bat. Here's a great example. You see only 1 3-ball count tonight.
He's only thrown 51 pitches.
When he gets 3-0, it's a great example of turn your hitter loose. More than likely, you're going to get a strike. You might get 3 in a row. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Got him. Talking about strikes. 4 pitches, 3 of them to Mike Cameron. So the Mets trail by 1. How about this catch by Guzman in center field? Padres lead the Mets. We'll be back. Ramon Hernandez leads it off as Met fans wait for the start of the top of the 5th inning. Kris Benson on the mound. If you just tuned in, the Mets are trailing 1-0. Padres have 3 hits. The Mets have 2. Hernandez drives the ball down a left field line. It's got the legs and it's gone. A home run for Ramon Hernandez. And the Padres now have a 2-0 lead. Brings a smile to the face of Dave Magadan, the hitting instructor with the Padres.
13th home run of the season for Hernandez. And the crowd reacting with boos.
The pitcher, number 33.
As the Mets have now fallen behind 2-0.
So Ramon Hernandez goes deep. 2-0 now Padres as you check it out again right down the left field line. He knew if it stayed fair it was gone. It hits a Dunkin' Donuts sign out there in left field. So now it's up to David Wells. He's got a 2-0 lead. Kris Benson throws a fastball. Wells pulls it to second base and jogs down to first base. Easy play. Scored 4-3. 1 down. Wells, it looked like he hurt his hand because the ball was running away from him. When he swung the bat, he hit it off the end of the bat.
The center fielder, Freddie Guzman.
Yeah, you see him flexing that left hand.
Sometimes it hurts more when you hit it off the end of the bat. Watch his ball tail away. Ooh. That's not good. So David Wells back in the dugout. 1 man gone. Freddie Guzman, who's 0-for-2 is the batter. He grounded to short and flied to left. Fouls the ball off. So it's 0-1 on Guzman. Guzman recently called up from the minor leagues. Reminds you a little bit of Juan Pierre. maybe more speed than Pierre.
And that's as a bundle.
Yeah. Infield, in on the grass, I should say the corners are. And the middle infielders are playing pretty much halfway.
That's Mike Cameron way over in left center field.
It's almost like a wiffle ball game where they set up this defense.
And Gerald Williams guarding the line. And what is it? He's about 200 feet away?
Yeah.
210?
If Guzman hits it over his head, it's at least a triple. Now, Richard Hidalgo giving him a little bit more respect in the power department in right field. And he hits the ball out in front of the plate. Vance Wilson got him. Nice play by Wilson, getting Guzman at first base. 2 down.
Well, Benson comes off the mound quickly, and he thinks, well, I better let somebody else take it, because if I pick this ball up and make the play, he's going to be safe.
Fans, choose your own camera angles for live game action and direct your own replays. Get MSG Network's Game Director only on IO digital cable service from Cablevision. So Vance Wilson with a good throw right there to get the speedy Guzman. I didn't think he was going to get him. Once Kris Benson came across in front of him, I didn't think he was going to get him. Nice play by Wilson.
No, Vance has a good strong arm. Bruce Bochy came out to argue the call momentarily.
Bruce's jog has slowed down over the years. Jeez.
You guys can talk about it tomorrow before the game.
So Mark Loretta now will be the batter. We've talked about the year he's having. Tonight he popped to first base. He's walked and he scored a run. Fouls the ball off. A little drift back into the crowd, not a play. So it's 0-1 on Loretta. These same two teams will go at it again tomorrow night. The finale will be Thursday afternoon. Ralph Kiner will be with us Thursday. Tomorrow it'll be Brian Lawrence against Al Leiter. Lawrence will be going after his 13th victory of the season. Al will be chasing number 10. Loretta pops it fouling out of play. So it's 0-2 on Mark Loretta facing Kris Benson. There's Al Leiter along with Todd Zeal.
Tom Glavine in the foreground.
Breaking ball gets Loretta. So the Padres go down here in the 5th inning, but not before they do some damage. Ramon Hernandez a home run, and the Padres lead the Mets 2-0.
Mets fans, get the inside scoop with Geico Mets on Deck. Find out all the latest team news, stats, insights, and analysis, plus a recap of all the amazing action.
Right field! Base hit! And the Mets win it!
Before the first pitch, take one deep. Everything you need to know to get geared up for the game is on Geico Mets on Deck. A half hour before the game, only on MSG Network.
David Wright leads it off against Boomer Wells, and he takes a strike. David Wright hit a home run in last night's ball game. You see his numbers right there. 6 home runs since being called up from AAA. It was a very busy year for David Wright as he fouls it off. He started off in Binghamton, working under Howard Johnson, who was a coach in Binghamton. He moved up to AAA and jumped right up to the big leagues. And he carries himself like he belongs. Well, one thing you need to play up here, confidence. And he's got it. He takes up high, 1-2. He loves living in the New York area. Jason Phillips on deck. Watch David Wright's hands goes from setup back into the hitting position. 2-2.
I love this comment last week in Colorado when he hit the home run that won the game in the 9th for the Mets. He said, I don't think there's a better feeling than hitting a home run.
That comes from a 21-year-old. Here's a 2-2 pitch way inside as Wells moves him off the plate. Now, Wells has yet to walk a batter. This here was a pitch. He said, you know what, you're going to have to get off that plate. Give me a piece of it. 3-2 on David Wright. And he throws that ball away. So that was a purpose pitch, 2-2.
And so you see the combination of terrific control and being a pitcher. Working in, working out, up and down in the zone. He's not overpowering. That one was 88. But when you're thinking inside for a moment, you go outside. It's effective.
They're going back outside again. Right back to Wells. One down. That was good pitching by David Wells. And a reminder, Pepsi invites you to show up at Shea on Wednesday, August 25th for free admission to the Pepsi picnic area. The first 1,000 fans with an empty Pepsi can or bottle will be admitted. So that's the Pepsi picnic area out there in left center field.
Oh, what a terrific promotion that's been run here by the Mets and Pepsi.
It'll be a busy night tomorrow night out there. Here's a ground ball to short. Easy play for Richard Hidalgo. Flips over to Nevin. Scored 6 3-2 down.
I mean, because you get here a little early to make sure you're one of the first 1,000. You get a major league game for the cost of a soda.
Plus the soda's pretty good.
Absolutely.
You gotta love your Pepsi.
And you know, it's a fun spot. I spent a lot of time there out in the bleachers as I move around the stadium and what have you. And the fans out there just have a blast. Which is not to suggest that the fans, the lower field boxes or the mezzanine, the upper reserve, wherever, aren't enjoying themselves. But the bleachers, just it's just a little different out there.
You covered yourself well.
Just don't want to make anybody angry. Don't want to be walking along, you know, the loge and someone saying, what, we don't have fun here? No, you have fun everywhere. But the bleachers, they enjoy themselves.
There's another ground ball. Aurelia playing it off to the side. Flips to first. Easy inning for the Boomer. He likes those easy innings because all he does is throw strikes. The Padres lead the Mets 2-0. Well, folks, MSG Network delivers enhanced viewing innovations for the tri-state area sports fan. MSG Game Director lets you select camera angles and replays when you want them. Virtual Sports Desk offers video on demand, sports news, and information 24/7. And high-definition game telecast delivers images up to 5 times sharper than regular TV, all in Dolby Digital sound. The best way to see the game, and you can see that as that ball is scalded. Short hops the wall. Hidalgo can throw. Here, now it's offline, so Giles goes into second base with a stand-up double. And just to complete the promo, MSG Network enhancing the way New York fans get their sports.
Well, Hidalgo, who injured his knee earlier in the game, showing no ill effects, plays it nicely off the wall. Good, strong throw, but wide by about 20 feet. And Giles in there with a leadoff double.
So Giles on second base. That'll bring up Phil Nevin, who last night drove in 5. Hit his 17th home run in last night's game, and he's 1 for 2 today.
Well, Benson's going to have to bear down here. Down 2-0, and the way Wells is pitching, don't want to give up any more.
Foul ball off of Vance Wilson, so it's 0-1 on Phil Nevin.
Doink.
No, it's funny. Here's a situation where you'll hear, you know, you got to move him over. I don't want Phil Nevin moving anybody over. I want Phil Nevin trying to drive him in. You get a 2-0 lead, runner in second base, and nobody out. Phil Nevin's in the middle of the lineup, batting 4th for one reason. You want him to drive in runs. Here's a fly ball to right center field. Now Hidalgo making the grab. I don't believe Giles will test him. Yes, he will. And the throw, not in time. So good base running by Brian Giles, challenging Richard Hidalgo's arm.
Well, Hidalgo was going for his 13th assist of the season. But Giles was in there. Even if the throw was on target, I think he would have beaten it. It's our Panasonic replay.
So he did get him over after all.
Yep. But that's the way you want to do it. You know, our colleague Ralph Kiner talks about it all the time. He hates when the cleanup hitter or the 5 guy is moving someone over. You're paid to drive in runs, as you said.
You used to hear it all the time. Guys would say, you got to get them over. Right now, you got guys in the middle of the lineup. They should drive them in. Ryan Klesko, who's 0 for 2, will hit with the infield in. So because the runner is able to go from second to third, this hitter is up in a pretty good spot with that infield in. Brian Giles with the leadoff third base, talking to third base coach Rob Picholo. And a 1-0 pitch to Ryan Klesko's outside. Two balls and no strikes on Klesko. Infield in, base hit. So Klesko gets a big blow and drives in a run. It's now 3-0 in favor of the Padres.
Well, I don't know what the numbers are in terms of the average being elevated with the infield in, but again, that's the old book in baseball. It says it makes a guy that much more effective. He's got more holes to find, and that's exactly what Klesko did.
And it's a feel-good situation for a hitter. We don't know the numbers, but I can tell you a hitter feels good at the plate when he sees the infield in on the grass. Sean Burroughs is the batter, runner on first base, one man down. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Padres on top of the Mets. Benson checks the runner. Braves still losing to the Rockies in Atlanta. Those Florida Marlins have been playing some good baseball. They are on top of the Giants, 3-0 in the first inning down there in South Florida. Popped up, easy play for Jason Phillips. That'll do it for Sean Burroughs. 2 down.
Well, if those scores hold up, and both are early, the Marlins game in the first and Atlanta in the second, you know, the Marlins will only be 6.5 out.
With a lot to play.
Well, entering tonight, they have 40 to play.
So it's scoreboard watching throughout baseball moving forward. Although you look at the scoreboard in April, not as intent. And the players on the field watching. Kris Benson right now watching for the signs from Vance Wilson. So far this game has been clean and it's been crisp, especially for the Padres. And there's a base hit down the left field line for Richard Hidalgo, and an outstanding play by Gerald Williams to keep that ball from going by him. Looked like it had double written all over, and it was a terrific play by Gerald Williams just to get that ball before it left. Look at that. What a play. He almost caught that baby.
Boy, he lays out the sinking line drive, and the contact with the ground dislodging the ball. But just a great play by Williams to get to it and keep it from being the extra base hit, and he almost got the Mets out of the inning.
And once that glove hit the ground, glove almost came off the hand. Gerald Williams just about made a spectacular play. It turns into a single for Richard Hidalgo. So the Padres have runners on first and second with 2 men out. And Ramon Hernandez, who homered in this ball game, is the batter. Hernandez hits a fly ball center field. Mike Cameron is right there, makes the grab for out number 3. But here in the 6th inning, Padres pick up another run, but Gerald Williams almost made an outstanding play. It's 3-0 Padres. Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. Nice crowd on hand for the second game of this 4-game series. Tomorrow night, Al Leiter will be on the mound for the Mets. Series finale Thursday and it's an afternoon game here at Shea Stadium.
Danny Garcia will pinch hit here for Kris Benson. Benson threw just 72 pitches. That's not it. What it is at the bottom of the 6th, and the Mets have just 2 hits off of David Wells, and they're down 3-0. They got to get something going.
So Boomer Wells will take on Danny Garcia, who's batting .223. First pitch, ball. 88 miles per hour from David Wells. Heath Bell in the bullpen getting loose. And the 1-0 pitch to Garcia's fouled back. David Wells threw that ball bell top. Is here, hit it. He has a 3-0 lead. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Danny Garcia. He'll be followed by Jeff Keppinger. Foul tip, 1 ball and 2 strikes. David Wells has economized on pitches thrown tonight.
He has been in command throughout. And that's with just 2 hits. He hasn't walked anybody. 1 batter's reached on an error.
He's thrown 65 pitches, 45 of those in the strike zone. Right there again, going inside. He's saying, I want the outside part of the plate, so try not to jump out there. See if he goes away again. Going back inside. No, he threw an off-speed pitch. So the target, I guarantee you, he didn't want that target inside. It was an off-speed pitch to Danny Garcia after going inside with a fastball.
Does it matter?
The off-speed pitch you want away from a right-handed hitter if you're a left-handed pitcher.
But if that's where you're throwing, it doesn't matter where he sets up the target?
I think it does. It's a fastball. You know what? It's all academic. By the way, how about this for a promotion? We have a youngster, courtesy of Nextel, with the opportunity to ask David Wright a question. And the question is, how relaxed were you after you got your first major league hit? Jesse from Bay Shore asked the question, and David Wright will answer it in a moment. Keppinger takes a strike.
I think I was a little more relaxed before that, but after that, you know, you want that second hit, and then that third hit, and that fourth hit. So I feel like I'm a little more relaxed now, a little more comfortable at the plate. So hopefully that comfort level will turn into confidence, and, you know, the hits will keep coming.
Ball was bobbled momentarily by Richard Hidalgo. He was able to regroup and get the ball across the infield, and they get Keppinger at first base. But David Wright answering that question about how relaxed he was, and he's going to get more and more relaxed as time goes on because he feels like he belongs, and so far he has shown that he belongs in the big leagues. Vance Wilson, the batter, 2 men down, bottom of the 6th inning. Wilson takes outside for a ball.
Just quickly going back to the target, not to demean at all what the target is, but if the pitcher, you know, some pitchers you talked about, they just put the glove over the heart of the plate, don't sit up on the corners, and they know where they want to throw it. So why necessarily is a target that important?
Well, you know what? It's funny. To certain pitchers, the glove is their only target. They've been trained that way, but there are other targets, and pitchers will talk to you about them. They'll tell you they can pick up the catcher's shoulders or the shin guards, and they can throw to those targets. So there could be more than one target. Now, it depends on the pitcher. My feeling is a guy with a lot of confidence and good stuff, he picks his own target. The glove is nice, but David Wells knows exactly what he wants to do. He's got a nice record coming into tonight's action. 207 wins and 135 losses. And here's a routine. Oh, Richard Hidalgo bobbles a routine ground ball. So it's an E6 on Richard Hidalgo as Vance Wilson reaches first.
A little trouble on the ground ball that Keppinger hit on the previous play, and this one goes off the hand. Tried to close the hand into the mitt before the ball got there. Took a little bit of a high hop too. Anyway, it's E6, and the Mets have a base runner.
Getting in front of that ball, the ball came up and hit off the heel of his glove. And as you mentioned, he just had the same problem a moment ago. So 2 men are out. Gerald Williams is the batter. He's 1 for 2. He's got a single, and he struck out. Last inning, he almost made a terrific catch. An unbelievable catch, but he dropped the ball when he hit the ground.
Probably saved a run, though. And the Mets need to save all those they can the way Wells is pitching tonight.
Wells has only allowed 2 hits. Padres have made 2 errors. Vance Wilson leads off first base, and Wells goes to the plate, and it's fouled off. Don't forget tomorrow night all the action on MSG Network, just like tonight. Hope you're enjoying all the action. Richard Hidalgo on deck. Fran, Healy, Matt Loughlin, and Bill Dodford here at Shea Stadium.
Heath Bell will come in to pitch in the 7th in place of Kris Benson.
There's a strike. Crew here at Shea Stadium, producer Joe Whalen. We got Bill Webb, Bob Milani, and Kylie Cucchiero comes up with those terrific quizzes and will not divulge the answer until game time.
Stays up all night, flipping through baseball encyclopedias, the Mets media guy.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball, shallow center field. Guzman said this is a can of corn. That'll do it for the Mets. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning, they fail to score. We go to the 7th inning. Padres with 2 errors, Mets with none. Zip as we go to the 7th inning, and back in with the play-by-play. As you look at our Jeep game summary, Sean Burroughs, an RBI single in the 4th. Ramon Hernandez went deep as 5th. Or that was in the 5th inning, I should say. Klesko, big RBI single with the infield drawn in, and Boomer Wells has got it going tonight. He's economized on his pitch count, and he's throwing strikes. Now back in with the play-by-play, Matt Loughlin.
All right, Fran, and Heath Bell makes his major league debut. Today selected the contract from Norfolk, did the Mets, and he's right up here in the bigs. The Mets sending Aaron Heilman down to Norfolk. And Bell, the 26-year-old from Oceanside, California, will face David Wells.
David Wells in his last at-bat hit a ball that was running away from him off the end of the bat. He said, I'm not going to do it this time because that hurt. We had a great shot of him hitting that ball and then grimacing in pain.
Wells will take the pain as long as he can keep pitching the way he has, and right now he's looking for his 8th win of the season.
I mentioned his career record, 207 wins against only 135 losses. Terrific winning percentage.
Swung on and missed, and it's 0-2. Bell, big guy, 6'2", listed at 244 pounds. Bell was 3-1 with 16 saves for Norfolk, and there's a call, strike 3. And Bell strikes out Wells.
He did the right thing. He threw a strike because David Wells doesn't want to hit that ball off the end of the bat again. So he said, I'll just take it. Was it a strike? From our camera upstairs, it was questionable.
Benson pitched 6 innings tonight. Gave up the 3 runs, all earned. Freddie Guzman steps to the plate, 0 for 3 tonight. Well, the question for Guzman will be, can he hit at this level? He's got the speed. He can play defense well. But the Mets have shown little respect for his bat by playing him very shallow and left center, which is where Mike Caron is playing. He pops this one up, and it'll reach the seats. Guzman, 23 years of age, from the Dominican Republic. He's played at 3 levels this year, AA, AAA, and here in the majors, called up from Portland, the AAA affiliate of San Diego, on the 17th of August.
Their AAA affiliate used to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. Years ago, in baseball, you couldn't even have a casino become a sponsor. I believe that was when Bowie Kuhn was the commissioner. Of course, now the casinos are all over the place. Just take a look at the ballpark in Florida, the home ballpark of the Marlins. They have a casino across their whole outfield fence.
It basically does take up the entire fence as we look at Mark Loretta on deck. 3-1 the count to Freddie Guzman. Mets trailing 3-0. Trying to break a 2-game losing streak tonight. Bell has played at 3 levels this year, too. Pitched in 1 game for Binghamton. Spent most of the year with Norfolk, dealing 3-2, grounded to second. Handled by Keppinger, and there's 2 down.
Take a look now at our OTB finishing line. You can see Kris Benson's numbers. Allowed 7 hits, 3 earned runs, struck out 2, 72 pitches. But David Wells has been flawless in his effort tonight. They were talking about Las Vegas, and it's still a strong possibility that eventually a Major League team will be in Las Vegas.
It appears right now that the leading candidate for the relocation of Montreal Expos is Northern Virginia. They've got some issues that Washington, D.C. does not have, like Washington, D.C. has a financing plan in place and a stadium to play, but that's too close to Baltimore, apparently.
Peter Angelo's son. I don't blame him. I mean, he owns the Baltimore Orioles. I'm sure that he draws something from the Washington, D.C. area. You know, it's amazing. Maybe years and years ago when Walter Johnson pitched there, but when I think of Washington, and they had some great players over the years, they've never were a big draw except for opening day when the president was throwing out the ball, first ball.
Fly ball to right. Hidalgo puts it away, and a quick inning of work for Heath Bell in his Major League debut. 3 up and 3 down. Richard Hidalgo, Mike Cameron, and David Wright to the plate. Bottom half of the 7th inning, David Wells defeats Richard Hidalgo, who fouls the first pitch off. He'll be followed by Mike Cameron, then David Wright, as the Mets try to get something going against Wells, who has been very efficient and has kept the Mets off balance all night long. Just 2 hits for the Mets. Both came in the first inning. Jeff Keppinger and Gerald Williams having base hits. Keppinger was erased on a caught stealing as he was picked off moving to second.
You know, it's really a delight to watch a guy pitch like David Wells. He's been around a long time, and he's moved to a lot of different ball clubs, but he's been a master tonight. I mean, he's throwing a ball in the strike zone. When he needs to back a hitter away, he backs him away. He doesn't hit him, just moves him off the plate and says, I'm going to take the outside part now. Right there.
And it's a call, strike 3. 3 pitches, 1 out here in the 7th.
He has thrown 80 pitches. Now, you know, I'm sure in baseball you would like to have your pitcher in better shape than David Wells. It's a nice pitch right there. But, you know, some guys can do it and be in that type of shape. And David Wells has done it year after year after year. I mentioned his arm reminds me a lot of Al Leiter's arm. They have that rubber arm. They can throw a lot of pitches. But in this case, 81 pitches. Rarely throws that breaking ball, that curveball. He throws his slider, fastball, changes up. But pinpoint control tonight.
Has not walked a batter. He struck out 4. Scott Linebrink, who appeared in last night's game, up and warming in the Padres bullpen.
You know, that's an example right there. Now, if you're a manager, you're thinking, geez, I'd like to keep this guy in the game for the complete game. But as announcers and the people in the stands and the press corps, you don't know the conversations that take place in the dugout. It could be the pitcher saying to the manager, you know what, I got 1 more inning, then you got to get me out of there. I've played with pitchers, and they felt that they could pitch 7 innings, and no matter how well they were pitching, they came out of the ballgame. And it frustrates the manager, and he certainly doesn't want to say it publicly.
No, he's not going to give away his starting pitcher in the media as Cameron flies it to right field.
But there are certain guys, in this day and age, it's almost more accepted if you go to your bullpen and bring your closer into the ball game. As you look at our Coca-Cola upcoming schedule, Wednesday and Thursday, you can see against these Padres. Then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can catch all the action on WB on Friday. Saturday, Fox 5 and WB 11 on Sunday. Geico Mets on Deck precedes the ball games on MSG Network and FS in New York.
David Wright 0 for 2. Grounded out to second and then back to the mound.
You notice, you know, we've talked a lot, and I hear it a lot. You work to count, work to count. And again, with a guy like this, the way he's on his game tonight, he gives you something to hit. Take a rip at it because you don't want him getting ahead of you.
Popped up. Ramon Hernandez called off by Nevin. And David Wells in control.
If you're the manager, you're going to try to convince him to stay in.
Eighth inning about to unfold here at Shea Stadium. Brian Giles facing Heath Bell, who starts his second inning of work in place of Kris Benson.
Well, Heath Bell really jumps off that mound at the hitter.
Giles 2 for 3 tonight. Singled in the first, doubled in the sixth, scored in the sixth. Fouls the pitch off. It's 0-2.
You know, it's funny this day and age, and we've talked about before, where pitchers are taught to have complete control of their body. You don't see many unusual deliveries to the plate. Pitching coaches are on top of it. They're taught at a young age, so when they come up, they are in complete control. And usually, it's when they're going towards the plate, it's in a smooth fashion. But if you ask hitters, the ones they don't like are those herky-jerky pitchers that dive at them.
Like Heath Bell, yeah.
I mean, when Nolan Ryan was pitching with that windup, he would dive at you, and you knew everything that he had was behind that fastball.
1-2 the count to Giles. 7 hits tonight for San Diego. Call strike 3 as Bell came inside on Giles.
Here's that last pitch to a real good major league hitter. Good ball movement. You see that ball moving at the last moment. See Giles giving way and the ball coming back over the plate.
So 2 strikeouts for Bell.
Matty, we talked about it last night. See, look at Dave Magnus talking about the movement of that pitch. I tell you what, it would behoove a team to have a monitor like we have up here in the dugout. They can see the ball movement. They can steal the signs, which could be very important. I wonder if that's against the rules. I know there are some stadiums that have closed circuit so you can see what's going on in the bullpen.
Well, I will tell you this, that when I have positioned myself down near the dugouts and have turned on a television to look at our coverage, there have been occasions when umpires have come over to me and said, turn it off.
So that answers the question. So what I would do is I'd have one of those little tiny cubes.
Well, you just go back into the clubhouse. Here's the 0-2 pitch. It's outside.
Well, it's tough to run back there, you know, between innings. In fact, if I were a manager, I'd want my players on that bench and in that bullpen when the game starts at the end of the game, because you know what? Great way to make a living.
That it is, no question about it. You would have a tough time enforcing that rule because guys are moving back and forth a lot during the course of the game.
Well, there's ways to enforce it.
Challenging to a wrestling duel after the game?
You just tell them, you say, look, you know what? The game's on. This is Major League Baseball, and it's a terrific way to make a living. You're going to find out someday. So we're going to stay in the dugout. We're going to enjoy the game. Now, I will say the television is a good way to learn things about your opposition. That's why they have replays that you can take into the clubhouse after the game.
Well, they even do it during the game.
Yes.
They'll go back and look at their at-bats during the course of the game. The 1-2 hit hard to center field. Cameron racing for it, won't catch up to it. One hop off the wall. And Phil Nevin will be on with a double, his second hit of the night. He continues to scorch Mets pitching here in this series.
Art House said too many base on balls last night and too much Phil Nevin. Well, again tonight, he is on top of the pitch. This ball really was hammered short off the wall, but Nevin gave it quite a ride. We talked about him last night out with Houston, and in college also, big star. And look at this contact. Head down, hips open, good balance. He's right on that and drives it into right center field. And he found himself when he became a backup catcher with the California Angels and the Anaheim Angels. Ends up in San Diego as a, hey, maybe we'll use him if it starts raining out. And all of a sudden he starts hammering the baseball and establishes himself and puts himself in the good graces of the Padres. Turns out to be a terrific trade for the Padres, picking up Phil Nevin. He said, you know, he had his priorities wrong. You know, he was single and he liked to date a lot. I guess if you're single, your priorities are right.
Well, yeah, why not?
The only thing is you got to take the game serious too. And he said he was able to refocus on the game and became the player that the Houston Astros thought they were getting when they drafted him #1.
Well, he's hit nearly 300 in his years with the Padres, having a terrific year this year. Count 1-1 here to Ryan Klesko. Mets down 3-0.
By the way, Nevin also fell into disfavor with the Houston Astros when the major league team during the year they needed replacement players wanted him to play. And as a kid trying to get in the big leagues, he said no. Bob Watson was the general manager of the Padres at the time.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Klesko with Nevin leading off the second. Heath Bell allowing his first hit in his appearance in his major league debut. Swung on and missed. 3rd strikeout for Bell. And there's 2 away.
Well, Bell's jumping at these hitters. Our Panasonic digital replay shows you he threw it right by Ryan Klesko.
94-mile-an-hour fastball.
You know what? When you see a young arm with 94, when he can throw the ball 94 miles an hour, usually they get a long look.
Here's Sean Burroughs, now with a 6-game hitting streak. Singled and drove in a run in the 4th, and the first pitch a call strike.
It's going to be interesting watching the development of this young player, because he does hit the ball the other way. He sprays it around. He doesn't really drive the ball yet, but he could. He's big, he's strong. The more confident he gets, he'll probably end up pulling the ball more and with power.
He's only 23 years old.
His dad was a power hitter. His dad had a very short stride and short stroke. He was a good hitter with power.
Burroughs, I'm sorry.
Sean Burroughs can be the same way.
Well, Sean's had success wherever he's gone. We talked about the Little League. He's also got a gold medal. Won a gold medal in 2000, playing for the United States in the Olympics. Here's the 1-1. Fouls it off.
I know this sounds crazy, but he probably had more pressure in the Little Leagues because he was the team. And I mean, the Olympics, he had a supporting cast of good players. Don't get me wrong, the kids on his team were real good players, but he was the superstar.
Rhythmic clapping from some of the fans here at Shea Stadium.
By the way, I think Jeff, his dad, was one of the coaches on that Little League team.
Cliff Floyd on the bench. Derek Valette, Todd Zeal up high, and Burroughs lays off. Bell's spot in the lineup comes up in the 3rd position in the bottom of the 8th. So the Mets will be going to a pinch hitter. Both bullpens quiet. Right back to the box. Well, Heath Bell has looked very impressive in his major league debut. Gave up the 1 hit, but struck out 2, including Ryan Klesko on the high heater.
Well, the New York Stock Exchange, stock on the rise, no doubt about it. The Southpaw tonight. Look at those numbers. How about 23-6 on the road?
Going for his 8th win of the season, and in control tonight. Padres have made a defensive change. Jay Payton has come on to play left field. Ryan Klesko's night is over.
Look at that pitch right there. Change up. First 2 pitches in the strike zone. 0-2 on Jason Phillips. See if he moves him away from the plate, because tonight consistently he's been throwing the ball inside just to move the right-handed hitter off the plate. Then he goes back outside. He's had absolute pinpoint control. See the target? Hernandez wanted that fastball up. I'm surprised it wasn't a little bit in closer on Jason Phillips, because it made no sense.
Mike Stanton warming in the pen for the Mets. Heath Bell scheduled to be the 3rd hitter in this inning. The Mets will go to a pinch hitter, so they'll need a pitcher for the 9th. Phillips just stays alive.
That high target Ramon Hernandez gave David Wells, I think he wanted the ball in a little bit closer to Jason Phillips, so Jason Phillips could get an eye-level shot at that fastball, because the next pitch was a changeup down and away.
Makinori Otsuka, who pitched in last night's game, up warming up. Wells has gone 8 innings once this year. I can't imagine he won't go 9 if he keeps pitching this way. Guzman back short of the warning track, and there's 1 down.
Great example right there of good pitching. He got Jason Phillips way out in front. Once you get a hitter out in front, the power is spent. Look at this, reaching for the ball. You got him to hit it up in the air, deepest part of the ballpark. He has been a master tonight, David Wells. And again, his record coming into tonight's action, 207 wins, 135 losses. Terrific winning percentage.
As Wilson Delgado steps in, Todd Zeile has come out in the on-deck circle to pinch hit for Bell. Well, you mentioned also Wells' success in his last 3 seasons on the road, 23-6. This year also successful on the road at 5-1. And he, like the rest of his San Diego teammates, better away from home than they are at home. He's only 2-6 at Petco Park.
And they're drawing about 39,000 per game at that new stadium out there.
Delgado fouls it down the third base side. Meanwhile, San Diego an even 500 at home at 33-33, but 8 games over 500 on the road. They were 2-4 in their recently completed homestand. Just starting a 10-game road trip. Got it off to a good start with the win last night. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Delgado. And he stays alive.
So he goes upstairs and in on Delgado with the fastball. See Rick Peterson, who's always talking to his pitchers. Now let's see what David Wells does. I'll tell you right now, this is going to school watching David Wells tonight. He went inside with the fastball last pitch.
Tom Baylor talking to Jason Phillips. Phillips 0 for 3.
No.
Breaking ball sails outside, so it's 2-2. Well, it's no fun for the Mets hitters tonight, but I agree with you, Fran. When you see a pitcher throw like this, not being overpowering, yet in total control, it is a joy to watch.
He has thrown refined strikes. He has great control in the strike zone. Look at this.
Broken bat, flare to center field, no problem for Guzman. There's 2 down.
He hasn't been overpowering tonight, but what David Wells has done is he's kept the Met hitters off balance, whether it's reaching for the ball or getting the ball inside and breaking their bats. But he has been extremely impressive tonight. You know, I mean, we talked about his record. He's had a very, very good Major League career.
Has won 20 once in his career, but enters tonight 72 games above 500 as Todd Zeile steps in. Mets' last hope here in the 8th inning.
He has been a true hired gun throughout his career.
1 pitch, ground ball to short. And another comfortable inning for David Wells, who I presume.
Manager saying, stay in there. Relax. Go out. Well, folks, Thursday on MSG, get an exclusive look at the Mets with the latest updates, interviews, and analysis on an all-new Mets Inside Pitch presented by Mercedes-Benz. That's presented by Mercedes-Benz Thursday evening at 6:30 here on MSG Network. Roman Gukowski, our producer on the show this week, with David Wright talking about his movement into the New York area. He loves it here in New York, so tune in Thursday night for him on MSG Network for Mets Inside Pitch. Mike Stanton has been a guest on the show. You see his numbers. He's a guest right now on the field. Coming on in relief here in the top of the 9th inning to take on these Padres. We'll see if David Wells comes out to hit.
He is scheduled as the 3rd hitter. Stanton making his 68th appearance of the season. He has been the workhorse out of the pen for the Mets. He'll face Rich Aurelia, Ramon Hernandez, and perhaps David Wells. Wells working on a shutout, and he has been terrific. I mentioned it earlier, Aurelia, a Brooklyn native. I was in Brooklyn over the weekend, Fran, checking out the Brooklyn Cyclones. They beat the New Jersey Cardinals.
It's quite a ballpark. Keyspan Park in Brooklyn. Got a great museum all about Brooklyn baseball. And if you haven't seen a Cyclones game, you got to get there because there are a lot of people going out to those ball games, and the Cyclones are playing good ball again this season.
Yes, they are. They are first in the McNamara division of the New York Penn. They won on Sunday. Took the family there. The boys and the wife had a great time. We went to the Cyclone, rode the Cyclone after the game. That was a thrill. Here's the 1-1 to Aurelia, swung on and missed. So the Cyclones playing some great ball.
It really is. I mean, I played in Dubuque, Iowa, which is a nice little town in Iowa, obviously. And the ballpark wasn't close.
What gave it away?
Close. Wasn't even close. I saw an inside the park home run hit against us, and the ball was lost in the grass. That's a problem. That's not going to happen at Keith Spade Park.
What, the lawnmower broke that day?
The Dubuque Packing Company, you know, the ham, they make the ham there. I don't know if they still do, but they had the smoke coming out of the building right behind left field. Oh, God.
Fond memories.
Oh, jeez.
2-2 here to Aurelia leading off in the 9th inning. Padres with 8 hits tonight. Single runs in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And Stanton strikes out Aurelia.
So Mike Stanton going inside on Richard Aurelia with a good pitch right here and locking him up. Got a good portion of the plate. Breaking ball locked up Richard Aurelia. So Boomer Wells is coming out on deck, so he will stay in the ball game.
Wells hasn't thrown a complete game in over a year, but he'll attempt it here at Shea. Hernandez with a home run in the 5th inning, his 13th of the season, now with 43 runs batted in. Kris Benson pitched okay tonight.
Yes, he did.
Gave up 3 runs, 7 hits in 6 innings of work, but it was on a night which he couldn't give up any, it looks like.
Yeah, it's tough to win when you don't get any runs, as Ramon Hernandez is having a big night.
Second hit for Hernandez. A 1-out double to left center field.
So Hernandez takes this ball, hits the ball hard. It was over the heart of the plate, and he split the outfielders with a bullet. Ball rolling to the wall, Cameron chasing it down, and Ramon Hernandez on second base with the double.
So David Wells 0 for 3 tonight. The 41-year-old left-hander will step in and probably not try to do too much. They try to move Hernandez to third. That's about it.
He's already hurt his hand swinging the bat tonight. I got a real strong feeling he's going to want to bunt him over. Nope, he's swinging. Easier on the hands when you're bunting.
Right now he's also sniffing his 8th win of the season. His mind's on the 9th, the bottom of it. Freddie Guzman on deck. Mets will have the top of the order in the bottom half of this inning. Jeff Keppinger, Vance Wilson, and Gerald Williams. It's been a tidy game, a little over 2 hours thus far. Grounds it up the middle. That will move the runner over. Keppinger with the throw. Boomer was sniffing out a hit there. He was moving down the line.
He was getting down the line in a pretty good fashion. He was running hard, and we thought it was going to be in all one place, but look at him go. Well, you don't want to run into him. So Boomer moves the runner over. He's got a 3-0 lead. He's had pinpoint control all night long. You see this defense set up.
For Freddie Guzman, who's 0 for 4. This is the 7th game he's played for San Diego since being called up. He's had a hit in every one.
Look at Jason Phillips with 2 outs. He's looking for the squeeze.
Well, they're in tight at the corners. Interestingly enough, as Guzman switches to the right-hand side, the switch hitter now batting from the right-hand side, the Mets defensively playing him more straight away in the outfield. They were swung way over to left when he batted from the left side. He grounds it to David Wright. And Guzman grounds out to end the inning. So the Mets are hoping to hit that ball. Jeff Keppinger looking to get them going in the bottom of the 9th. The youngsters out at Shea Stadium tonight on this beautiful night for baseball. We remind you that tonight you can catch an encore presentation of part 1 of MSG's exclusive documentary, Blue Shirts Inside Out. Go behind the scenes of the Rangers draft and training room. That's tonight following the Mets game here on MSG. Blue Shirts Inside Out. As David Wells looks to complete the victory tonight. His last complete game was June 17th last year. His last complete game shutout was April 10th of last year.
Well, he has been very, very impressive tonight. You know, it's funny, we've talked about his numbers, his career numbers coming into tonight's action. I suppose if he was less controversial, more people would have focused on some impressive numbers.
Keppinger flies out, and there's one down.
The catcher,
Trevor Hoffman getting loose just in case.
Well, at one time, he was lights out closer. He struggled a little bit this year. He's had some arm trouble in his recent past, but they want to go with the boomer. I don't blame him.
Vance Wilson reached on an error in the 6th. 0 for 3 overall.
David Wright doesn't want to miss a pitch.
Wide-eyed, innocent look. Breaking ball missing. Wells gave up 2 hits, the only 2 hits in the game in the first inning. Jeff Keppinger led off with a base hit up the middle. He was caught trying to steal. Gerald Williams had a base hit to left. And he stayed there as Richard Hidalgo grounded out to end the inning. Wilson flies one to right. Brian Giles settles under it, and there's 2 down.
So David Wells has been taking everybody to school tonight on how to pitch. We are seeing him in probably his best game of the season. He has had pinpoint control, great command of his pitches where he has to change speeds. Every pitch he seems like he knows where he wants it and he gets it there. It's not that easy. Sometimes you just get into that rhythm and you have it the rest of the game.
After the first inning, he allowed just 2 base runners, both reached via an error. Kris Benson in the 3rd and Wilson, as we mentioned earlier, in the 6th. He has not walked a batter. He's ahead of Gerald Williams, 0-1. '41-year-old David Wells. First year with the Pods, as you mentioned, Fran. He's bounced around a lot in his career, moved from team to team, but has been successful everywhere.
He has just been able to change speeds, and again, you know, you don't have to be overpowering as long as you're in that strike zone, changing speeds off that fastball.
Williams reaches out down the left field line. This might drop in. Jay Payton gives chase. It drops in fair. Williams headed for second. The throw not in time. And it's the 3rd hit of the ball game for the Mets. First since the first inning. And Gerald Williams extends the Mets' chances.
Oh, Gerald Williams right there. That's a good piece of hitting because that's a nasty pitch. He was fooled. But the key there was getting ahead of the bat on the ball. David Wells has to appreciate that. He made a nice pitch, and Gerald Williams was able to adjust.
So with 2 down, Richard Hidalgo will step in. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Struck out looking in his last at-bat. 21 home runs, 69 runs batted in for Hidalgo. Mike Cameron on deck should the Mets be able to get there. Ground ball, base hit to center field. Williams being waved around. Guzman's throw will be cut off at the mound. An RBI base hit for Hidalgo, and the Mets will get the tying run to the plate.
So Mike Cameron, you got to wonder, and there's no wondering. They're going to the bullpen. They're bringing a right-hander in to face Mike Cameron. So David Wells has pitched an excellent ball game tonight, giving up 1 run here in the 9th inning. Still 2 men down. Mike Cameron, the batter, runner on first base. Cameron representing the tying run with 1 swing of that bat.
Trevor Hoffman answering the direct connect call to the bullpen. Boomer Wells' night is done. It's been terrific. But the Mets are just 1 big shot away from tying things up. Mixed reaction for Wells as he departs. Trevor Hoffman will come in when we come back. David Wells can't bear to look.
Nope, it was up to Trevor Hoffman, and mentioned earlier how a few years back it was lights out when he came into the ball game. He's had some problems this year, but he's still tough. They don't have the confidence in him that they had 3 years ago because he's come off some arm trouble.
Has 4 blown saves, has saved 31 games. He's 4th on the all-time save list with 383. 36-year-old Trevor Hoffman with the 0-1 to Mike Cameron, swung on and missed. He has a terrific changeup.
Well, that was his money pitch when he had that real good fastball. And right there, he throws the changeup to Mike Cameron, who's batting .236 right now.
0 for 3 lifetime against Hoffman. Swung on and missed. So Hoffman comes out of the pen, 3 pitches, 3 strikes, and picks up his 32nd save of the season. And Boomer Wells, who had a great night, picks up his 8th win of the season, as the Mets have now lost 3 straight.
Well, they ran into a buzzsaw tonight. The Mets did, and it was in the name of Boomer Wells. He pitched a whale of a ball game, and they needed to go to the bullpen to get 1 out. So Trevor Hoffman came in and threw 3 strikes. And there's a man right there, a big night with that bat. The catcher, Ramon Hernandez for the Padres, did the job offensively and defensively. So it was all Padres tonight as they get past the Mets,
who were limited to just 4 hits by David Wells and lose tonight 3-1. 3 runs on 9 hits for San Diego. The Mets limited to just 4 as they were shut down by David Wells, who moves to 8-7. Trevor Hoffman with his 32nd save of the season. Our Toyota game summary.
You see Jeff Burrows, an RBI single in the 4th. Ramon Hernandez, a solo home run in the 5th. Klesko, an RBI single. But it was all about David Wells.
Kris Benson pitched well, but not well enough. His record falls to 10-10 overall, 2-2 with the Mets. Coming up next here on the MSG Network, it'll be Blue Shirts Inside Out. Just remind you that tomorrow night here on the network, we'll have Mets Wednesday presented by Nextel, Game 3 of this series. And then coming up next year, it's parts 1 and 2 of Blue Shirts Inside Out, an in-depth look at what's going on with the Rangers during the offseason, their draft, training room, and more. The Pods make it 2 straight over the Mets.
New York Mets baseball has been presented by